Welcome to Icad 15, and I'm going to use my tape. But isn't this really cool? I wanted to show you guys this. You know, that tape really does stick, but I still glue it down. But isn't this cool? I have never seen square bubble wrap before. I have not seen it, and so I had to steal a piece of it from my packaging. It came from my Target order this week. We have a small grocery store, and not everything's at the grocery store here in town, so we have to order some of our groceries online. Okay, so what am I going to do? The washi tape for sure is going to be used. So let's see. I'm thinking right here on this one. Okay, put these away. Here we go. Yeah, maybe not that one. Here we go. We'll take this one. Oh, I just love that iridescent ink, don't you? Ooh, dripped on that paper. Fun, fun. Okay. I love shiny. So, I think I'll put some... Yeah, I'll put some along here. So, doop, doop. Right. Like I said, even though it's really sticky, I'm going to use this. Okay, buddy. Now I'm stuck to everything. I really like that. And it's my own design, my own washi tape. That's the best part about it. Yeah, that's really nice. I like it. Okay. Even if no one else does, I like it, and that's all that counts, right? Okay. It has been horribly hot here. Have you guys had a lot of heat? I mean, unusually hot, and not for June. I mean, hundreds in June. That is not normal for us. It's just been a strange year. We've been breaking records from the 1940s and 50s when it was that hot. And I think one of the records was from 1930s, and that's kind of scary, especially as dry as we are. Hopefully we don't have another dust bowl perking up. You never know. Now, I'm going to add another piece here. Okay. I'm from South Dakota, and my family has always lived in South Dakota. My great-grandparents settled here in South Dakota from Bohemia, which is now the Czech Republic. and they lived in a small village by Prague and has a castle there. And so I'm not sure what their trades meant. Well, I do know that my great-great-grandfather was a bricklayer, so and another one worked in iron. So they probably worked on the castle or buildings around. I do not know why they moved to America. I think it was when the Russians were, you know, were trying to take over in that area. So don't quote me on that. But the interesting thing is, they came over in the 1800s when Dakota Territory was given away for free. You know, you did a land claim, and then your land was given to you for free. Well, before all this happened, my great-great-uncle and my grandma were married. And they moved to America, both of them. And he was a motorcycle policeman in Detroit. And he was killed in action, or in Detroit, on his motorcycle. I think he was the first motorcycle policeman who passed away during duty. So my two great aunts, which were their children at the time, they got their college free. So they both became teachers. Well, anyway, after my great-great-uncle passed away, my grandmother was pregnant. Can you believe it? God bless her heart. And had these kids. I think she had 3 or 4 kids before. And then she was pregnant. And she lost her husband and became a widow. And what was crazy is my great-grandfather was my great-great-uncle's brother. And the Bohemian tradition was that the brother, if he wasn't married, would, or one of the brothers, would marry the widow, the brother's widow. So that's what happened. And my great-grandmother was a seamstress in Detroit. And she really liked the city, and she liked her life there. And my great-grandfather got this wild hair and decided that he wanted to be a cattle, or a milk, what do you call that? Oh, can't think. Here I am. He wanted to have milk cows. He wanted to have a farm and a ranch. And my grandmother, she followed him, and I wish I knew the whole story, because they didn't know much English at all. The kids taught them English when they were went to school and learned English. The kids taught them, according to my grandmother. But anyway, here she was, stuck in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I don't live probably a half hour, 40 minutes from where they settled. I mean, I'm up where they settled, in the area they settled. And I am telling you, there's nothing here now. And there had to have been nothing there then. And he built a tool shed. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Built a tool shed. And they lived in that until he built the house. I know she had said something, that she was really, depressed for a while, and I could see why, living in a tool shed. Can you imagine? I guess maybe it's better than a sod house. A lot of settlers up here did sod houses. Laura Ingalls Wilder's family settled about 2 hours away from me in DeSmet, South Dakota. And Ma and Pa Ingalls are actually buried in a cemetery around there. And they did, I don't know, I haven't been there since, all this pandemic the COVID stuff, but you could go to eat downtown at a restaurant that was actually Pa's store. Pa had a store. He had a hardware store and a grocery store. So that was interesting. And it was kind of fun to eat there. I mean, it was just a building. It didn't, it was nothing exciting. It didn't have any of their stuff in it. But that was kind of cool. But anyway, my poor great-grandmother, going back to that, I can't imagine, losing your husband, you're pregnant, and then you marry your brother-in-law, and, oh, that had to have been interesting. I don't know if there was love, or that came later, or if there was ever love. Nobody knew. Nobody knows. And that's just, it's so bizarre. I wish I knew that. I guess I'll find out when I meet her someday, right? But yeah, that was an interesting story. I'd like to know, but it was kind of interesting. And then my grandmother was a triplet, and back then, 100 and what would my grandmother have been? 100, 101, 101 years ago. Triplets didn't live, let alone have triplets, and so. They became, as my grandma called it, a freak show. And I know my grandma had a postcard, and I wish I had a copy of it, of my grandma and her brother and her sister, the triplets. They had a postcard with them on it. And I don't think, they charged admission or anything, but I think people just came from miles around to see the triplets, because that was like an oddity. And my grandma was kind of a loner, and she explained to me one day why she was. She spent her life as a freak show. And she would go, when people would come to the yard that they didn't know, she said she would run and hide, because she did not want, anybody to look at her. So, she was kind of, had a hard time with that. Which I would too. I don't know if I would like to be everybody looking at me all my life. But I did not meet that great-grandmother. I met my, now this is my dad's family I'm talking about. I did meet my, my dad's grandma, Brady. And, that was kind of interesting. I've met, let's see, my great-grandma Brady, my great-grandma Alice, my great-grandpa Bert, my great-grandpa Marion, and then I met my great-great-grandma Dummers was the last name, and I can't think of what her first name was, and if I ever even know it. I'll have to ask Mom, because we always called her Grandma Dummer. So, anyway, so I've met most of my great-grandparents and my great-great-grandparents, which is unusual. My father, when I asked Dad what his grandpas were like when I was younger, he looked at me and he said, I don't know, I never met any of my grandpas. Isn't that sad? He didn't have a grandpa in his life. And I'm sure many people do have that situation. But to me, that was so sad. I always felt bad for him. When I looked at the tombstones, my great-grandma was quite a bit younger than my great-grandpa. And my great-grandpa died young. He died in his 40s, late 30s, early 40s from kidney infection. Isn't that interesting? He would have lived now, this day and age, but he died in the 30s with that. And so my grandpa took care of his brothers and sisters and their families, and then they did the same with my grandma's brothers and sisters. Not all of them, but some of the families, they just took them in. They were very kind people, good-hearted. I just thought that was interesting. I don't know. Gosh, what about you? What if, I mean, if I had to marry my brother-in-law because my husband died and, you know, I was married, I just can't imagine marrying one of my brother-in-laws. That would be creepy for one reason for me. I mean, I know if that was the way it was back then and that was a tradition, that's what you did in the culture. But ooh. So do you fall in love? I mean, that is just so bizarre. I don't know. I wonder if they did love each other. I would think after spending time together, even if you didn't share the same dream, that you would, you know, you would fall in love after a while, or, you know, have a respect for each other or something. But they had quite a few kids afterwards, so I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's a question I want to know, and I'll never know. I'd like to think they did. They fell in love. And he did build Grandma a really nice house. It was a very nice house. And people were still living in it. I mean, the crazy thing is, when I was married, I lived like 2 miles as a crow flies away from where my grandparents homesteaded, you know. My ex's ranch was out there too. And and the people were still living in the house in the 80s. But then the house was moved and was not being lived in, you know. So, but yeah, I thought that was really cool. Anyway, I don't know, good, bad, or ugly, what to think of this one. I think a little black would be fun. Let's put a little black in there. Boop, boop. Put some black marks. Yeah, I like that. So, this is number 15. And I will end it on this note. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. Icad number 15.